to a YouTube channel near you.
Well, welcome, everybody. I'm Althea, and I'm delighted that you're joining us tonight for Spiritual Street Talk with Althea Jacob. So I don't know where you are, but it's hot in the Midwest right now. We're having all kinds of thunderstorms all this week, and it's feeling like summer, which it should be because we're right before the 4th of July, right? I know a lot of people are traveling right now, getting ready for the holiday weekend. Hey, Chris, how you doing tonight? And I really appreciate you all tuning in and joining me today. So for those of you who are new to Spiritual Street Talk, my goal with this podcast is to give a forum and a voice for people to come on and ask whatever questions they have, talk about whatever is really on your mind and heart when it comes to anything spiritual, esoteric, metaphysical, etc. And the format for the show is I usually start with a little bit of a chat about what's been on my mind and heart this past week. Then I do a reading, and I've asked Spirit to give us some messages for the group today. And so I'll read through those different angel cards and oracle cards. I usually share some inspired readings and thoughts. And then I open it up to the comments. If you are watching and have a question, please do type it in all caps in the comment. And I'll be happy to answer those when I get to that section, because then I'll just scroll back through. So hang tight. If you are asking a question, hey, Ann, thanks for joining us. So give us a shout out if you have those kind of questions, or even just topics that you would like me to talk about, or like I said, anything that's on your mind and heart. I've been a spiritual life coach and a intuitive and a psychic medium for about 40 years now professionally. And so I know an awful lot about a lot of different things, and I've come across many things during my experiences over the years. And so I'm really happy to share that knowledge and information with you. I also have recently come out with a book of channeled writings and inspirational thoughts, questions to ponder when you're trying to get in touch with your soul purpose. It's called A Portal to Potential, the Muse of Monroe. And it basically is meant to encourage you and give you some things to think about when you're trying to figure out, how do I become the best possible me that I can? How can I fulfill the full measure of my creation? How can I make sure I'm living up to my soul's purpose and expressing the creativity or the productivity that my soul wants me to be doing? And so those are the kinds of issues and questions that get answered through that book. It is on Amazon right now. It's $10, and all proceeds go to the Monroe Institute Scholarship Fund. So please do check it out. I'll be reading a little bit from that a little later today. I cracked it open for a message, and I got something to share with the group as well. And when I talk about the messages in a little bit, one of the things to keep in mind is that no matter whether you're watching the show live tonight or whether you're tuning in and listening tomorrow, next week, or next year, the topics that we bring up and the messages that come from Spirit should resonate with you. They should make sense to your brain. They should feel good to your heart. They should ring true in your gut, right? That's our true intuition, right? It's the coherence of those three places: your mind, your heart, and your gut. And so you should always rely on those things. We were given intellect for a reason. We were given our emotions for a reason. We were given that spidey sense gut feeling for a reason, right? So to say, well, I'm not going to really pay attention to that, that's just silly. We really want to utilize whatever gifts are there and possible. The theme for most of my shows, and the homework is almost always the same. It's how can we take the higher road? How can we shine our light, share our love, share our gifts, and be a force for positive good in the world? Sharing kindness, doing random acts that help people, having and creating a legacy of positivity so that our life matters not just for the things we have created and leave behind, but for all of the lives that we've touched along the way. And so I'm constantly going to be encouraging during each of my episodes. I'm going to be encouraging us all to let's take the higher road, even when we're in quicksand and we're struggling and there's contention all around and craziness all around and we're scared. We need to find a way to dig deep, get ourselves out of that quicksand, and then turn around and figure out how can we help anybody else that might also be stuck. Because one of the blessings and advantages of having gone through all kinds of hell and challenges and yucky stuff in your life is that it made you resilient. It gave you credibility because you figured out how to not just survive that stuff, but how to thrive in spite of it. It's made you stronger. It's made you a better person. And so now, from that place of strength and resiliency, you can be of service to other people as they're going through their own personal journey and trying to figure out, what do I do? And how can I be happy? And how can I make sure I'm fulfilling the purpose of my life? And by the way, what do I want? And what is my purpose? Right? Because a lot of people don't spend time thinking about those sort of things. And I don't blame them. It was not that long ago. I was with everybody else running like, I don't know, 100 miles an hour with my hair on fire, trying to get everything done. Right. It was just one of these, you get up, you do your chores, you go to work, you commute, you get there, you work all day. On the way home, you stop, maybe do a few errands, come home, cook some dinner, maybe relax and play a little bit in the nighttime, maybe do more chores. Really depends on what, time of year it is and what's happening. And then you go to bed and you get up the next morning and you rinse, repeat, and do the same thing. And the days go by and the weeks go by and the years go by and you're like, whoa, I haven't really stopped to think, why am I doing what I'm doing? So those are the kinds of questions that we go through on this show each week. And like I said, I'm happy to tune in for everybody and see what comes up. All right. So what's been on my mind and heart this week? Well, getting ready for the 4th of July. One of the things that's so important when we think about, we're celebrating our independence. What was that all about? Hey, Nilda, blessings back right at you. One of the things that's really important when we think about independence, and this is true for anybody, even if you're not watching or tuning in from America, right? No matter what country you're in, you probably have certain rights and blessings and a way of life that you treasure. And when politicians or governments or tyrants or people who are supposed to be benevolent when they're in charge all of a sudden become greedy or become tyrannical or start doing things that make decisions that make you scratch your head and go like, what? Like, how is this a good thing? It's really important to stand up, to let your voices be heard, and not get wrapped up in the trauma of the contention, because one of the things that's happening here in America, for those of you who are outside of it, and I'm sure you're tuning in and seeing it on your own news, there's a lot of contention going on politically. And when I was growing up, I had aunts and uncles that, some were Democrats, some were Republicans, some were independents, some were liberals. We had the whole gamut. And when we would have family gatherings, it was not like the United Nations and peaceful and and organized. There was a lot of yelling and banging the table and, very forceful sharing of opinions, but there was never any ad hominem attacks. What that means is we didn't attack the person. We would say, look, I maybe don't agree with your point of view, but I still love and respect you as a person, and somehow we've gotten so far away from that, the minute you are identified as you're not in my camp, you're not in my tribe, you become the enemy somehow. And that is so not spiritual. That is so worldly and contentious and not what we should have as our objective when we think of ourselves as all brothers and sisters and all human beings sharing this time on the planet. So one of the things, yes, it was a more respectful time, it seems. So what was interesting was when, and back to independence for the US, when the citizenry at that time felt there was tyrants and things were unjust and only the rich were getting richer and the poor were suffering and people didn't seem to care about the masses as much, there was that rebellion. Now I know France went through the revolution, lots of different countries went through their own version of those growing pains to create the democracies or the republics that they're living in, to make sure that there are certain rights. I was talking to a friend the other day who comes from another European country, and he was sharing with me, he's like, yeah, we have healthcare, we have paid education, we get, 6 to 8 weeks of paid vacation every year. And I was like, what the heck did we do wrong here in the US, that we don't, not all of our citizens have healthcare. Not all of our citizens have education. Not all of our citizens, can get paid vacation from their work for, more than a week or two, right? If you get that. And I thought, okay, well, there's always concessions and there's always give and take. But one of the things that's happening now in the US, they're politically getting ready to pass this big bill. And even one of the politicians that signed the first version of it said, I didn't really read it carefully. And I didn't see that they were going to get rid of Medicare. And I didn't see that they were going to get rid of food stamp programs. And I didn't see that this bill was going to get rid of these kinds of entitlements or healthcare options or on and on and on, because this thing was so many pages that the politicians who were voting on it just said, oh, I just trust it. My party put it up, so I'm going to vote for it. And I shook my head and I'm like, oh, good Lord, this is a time in our history in the US where it's really important that people take the time to educate themselves. And certainly if you're a politician and you're in a position to be voting on behalf of the people who voted you into office, please, for the love of God, read all the details and make sure that your constituents and the people you represent are not going to be hurt by it. So anyway, that was just coming into my mind, thinking of the 4th of July and the independence and why are we celebrating that independence, was because that was a time we came together as a society to overcome the hurdles and to cast out the despots and cast out the tyranny and said, no. We need to be we the people, united together, taking care of each other. And so I would love for a little bit more of that patriotic feeling, that colonialism, patriotism of we love and respect each other. We're here to take care of each other. And if there's anybody in government that has their britches are too big and they're just in it for themselves and they're in it just to get more and more power and more money and they're coming from greed instead of service, we need to really think about, do we want those people in office representing us? That's the one thing we still have in the US and in many democratic nations around the world. We have a voice, we have a vote. And so it's really impossible that we do that. Okay, so anyway, it just kind of got me thinking about, from a spiritual point of view, it would be really great if more of us can shine our light and love, not just be tolerant of other people that we don't agree with, but find a way to listen to, love, and respect them, even if their opinions are different, even if they're part of a different religion, they're part of a different social caste, they're part of a different political party. These are the things that are most important. Welcome, Pancho. Welcome, Anna. Okay, so one of the things that I'd like to do now is go through the messages that I got from Spirit when I tuned in. I'm going to read the oracle cards and the angel cards and talk a little bit about what they mean. And then I'll switch gears and start answering the questions. And thank you for putting things in caps. I do see a couple of them. I will get to them shortly. Promise. Okay, so the first angel card for tonight is giving and receiving. And giving and receiving says the entire universe operates in cycles similar to your inhalations and exhalations. If you were to only exhale, give, or only inhale, receive, you would become out of rhythm with the universe. For optimal breath, energy, and replenishment, balance each inhale in your life with an exhale. So that giving and receiving, that's what the law of reciprocity is based on. We give to each other. If you're in a relationship, if it was so one-sided that all you were doing is give, and you never got anything back, you'd be worn out after a while. And if all you're doing is take, well, shame on you. You need to give something back to your partner, right? And show some gratitude for what they've given you. It should be a two-way street. It doesn't always have to be 50-50, and most often it's not 50-50. But if it's, 100 and 0 or 90% and 10%, that's way too out of balance. So you want to take a look at those kind of relationships. The next card was the Oracle card of renewal. And this says regeneration and revitalization. This is a time for that. Move beyond old sufferings. Use self-healing to recharge your energy and emotions. You are changing. So this is a time to seek new opportunities. Okay, summer is the perfect time for renewal, right? Many of us do have vacation. Or in this case, we have a holiday coming up. Many of us have a long weekend. So we're able to travel, go to beautiful places, gather with friends and family. It should be a time for fun and rest and renewal, recharging our batteries on a whole bunch of different levels. And then we have the card of purpose, which has come up. And this says, this angel cards remind you that every situation or person is placed on your path with a purpose. It may be to strengthen you, to offer you an opportunity to resolve or forgive the past, to release old patterns, or for enjoyment. Your life purpose is ultimately to do that which brings you joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment. Seeking these soul qualities will place you on a path of your destiny. Once on your life path, allow nothing and no one to deflect or deter you from your mission. Your guidance right now is to ask your angels to help you find your purpose. And if you are ready, your life mission. Align your strength and willpower and hold your intention to fulfill your purpose. Your angels will support and help you, and you will succeed. So those are the angel and oracle cards. And then I chose 3 tarot cards to see past, present, and future. What kind of issues are stirring around for us today? So the first one is the Tower card reversed. And this says the Tower is all about change of job, change of life situation, change of life partner, change of health situation. Tower is about radical change that impacts your life in some way. Can be moving, could be like getting a new car or something positive. It's not necessarily bad. It's just a major change. And in our past, for most of us, the reason it's upside down is we resist change, right? We don't typically like to go for it. We don't feel like, oh, I'm ready to jump and take that leap of faith and jump into the void and see what happens, right? When we hear that call to adventure, not a lot of us feel like, okay, I can leave this behind and go see what this adventure is going to take me on, right? So understand we come from that. Right now, the charioteer this is the warrior, and he's upside down. Saying again, we don't want to have to move. We don't have to go. But in order to have that clarity of vision of fulfilling our purpose, sometimes we do have to make the changes. And as we go forward, this 10 of Swords says we have to put an end to anything that's inappropriate in our life. We have to make sure we're not stepping in and taking on responsibility and accountability for other people and their stuff. So in a lot of ways, we need to give people back their trauma, and say, look, you got to figure this out. I can't be the one to solve your problems. You have to develop your own resourcefulness and resiliency so that you can be strong and figure it out. Being there to help somebody you love, of course, is a beautiful thing. Enabling somebody so that you do it for them and they never have to learn how to for themselves, that's not good. That's not healthy. And so as we go forward into the future and are ready to make the positive changes and go on that hero's journey of our own, answering that call to adventure. It's really important that we don't have all these attachments holding us back that are inappropriate. Relationships that have ended, and we keep like circling back around and mentally kind of revisiting it and saying, oh, what happened? And what was all the woulda, coulda, shouldas? And, why did this happen? And it's like, wait, no, if it's over, move on. If it's not over, that's one thing. But if it's over, move on, right? Take the love, learn the lessons, but stop circling back around and letting that be like an anchor around your neck, stopping you from swimming or drowning you, right? You need to, and we need to all learn how to go forward without the other people in our life grabbing onto us and saying, no, you can't leave. No, you can't take this chance. No, you can't do it. Obviously, if you're in a committed relationship with somebody and people are dependent on you, that's one thing. But for a lot of us, we can make minor changes. We can make even major changes if it's going to serve us and help us be even more in alignment with our soul's purpose, become even better people out in the world, right? We're all trying to become the best possible version of us that we can. That's part of our goal, is to grow and learn, get rid of the yucky stuff, get more of the good stuff, and become that shining light, that positive force for good in the world that creates a legacy of having an impact, a positive impact on people's lives that you touch, no matter where you go. And then it has that ripple effect, and more people get impacted and inspired by what you do and who you're helping. Okay. So those are the messages for tonight. And then when I cracked open the book to ask, what should I read? I got a section that's called Sanctuary of My Soul. So I'm going to read that to you now. Sanctuary of my soul, a place where transcendence is possible, where our soul takes refuge and flight, a location in time and space where we are free from the perils and pressures of the other we perceive. The other is all that is not in resonance with what or who I am in this moment, and by its dissonance wears down my spirit, my resolve, and my remembering the truth of all that is. The sanctuary of my soul can be found in moments in nature, in connecting with animals or young children, in singing, in praising our Creator, or in the quiet stillness where there is nothing needed other than to simply be. It is a safe place for my psyche, where love pushes away all anger, fear, or doubt. It is a haven for my spirit, where I refresh, recharge, re-energize, and refocus on what to do and where to go once I emerge from this place of serenity and comfort. We have the ability and responsibility to create our homes so that they are a sanctuary in the world and a place where even others can feel the peace, the love, and the comfort of who they are in this moment of time. Sanctuary can be an energy we create, carry, and bring with us, resonating wherever we go. How would your life be different when this is the truth you experience and inspire others to know? A joyful heart expressing gratitude and love shines brightly through the darkness to lead all to the sanctuary they crave, like a balm for their soul. It is worth your awareness, your time, and your energy to mindfully choose and create this state of being for yourself and for any who find themselves resonating with you on our collective journey home. So many of us during this holiday weekend will be going and finding those sanctuaries, right? We go to the beach, we go to the cabin, we go to the North Woods, we go to grandma's house, we go to our favorite beach or favorite vacation spot, right? It is a place that uplifts us And the question that was asking is, what if we carried that vibration with us wherever we've been going? What would that be like if we created a space in our home so that whenever anybody came to visit us or live with us, they felt that sense of comfort, like they had just checked into a cabin in their favorite vacation place, or walked through their favorite woods, or swum in their favorite beach or pool, and just felt that sense, or that lake energy washing over them and feeling a sense of peace. We could take that as a noble cause and something to try to create in our life and in our energy, so that when people are around us, they just feel better. They feel better about themselves. They wind up having the heaviness of their day or their life kind of cast away, and they feel this lightness settling over them. They feel a peace settling over them. They feel a love and a forgiveness and a joy and this sense of connectedness to all that is good and beautiful and greater than self available to them. That's a noble purpose. That's something we can aspire ourselves to do. All right, so let's see. I saw a couple questions pop up, so I'm going to go back and see here. All right, so the first one. So Chris is asking, did I just encounter a monitor spirit today? So for me, I'm not 100% sure by what you're calling a monitor spirit. If you're talking about like a guide or a guardian angel, that sort of thing, they're around us all the time. And so we can have encounters with them. If that monitor spirit is some other term, then for those guiding beings that are with us, I'm not familiar with that. And so I would need to know a little bit more to tune in. But as far as guardian angel energy and guidance energy, I do feel, Chris, that there's quite a few energies around you that are trying to guide and prompt you. I feel like this is a time of great change in your life. I think a lot of the cards that we got today, the Tower upside down in particular, was one that should be speaking to you, as well as to others that are tuning in and listening. So this is definitely a time when you can expect to have loved ones in spirit, guides, angels coming closer to you to kind of give you those little nudges and to catch you when you're starting to trip and fall, and make sure that you're feeling safe and connected and loved. Okay, so that was that. And I see there was a question from Anna. And Anna is asking, could you please look if my long distance male friend will connect with me anytime soon? He is a Leo. Okay. The short answer to the question, some of my guides, actually, I'm from New York. They have a little smart ass energy to them, so forgive it if it comes through. They can be a little teasy, but they're like, soon. Like, what is soon? Soon is relative, right? So to me, if you're talking about the next few days or so, I don't feel like it's going to be, or hours or days. No, weeks, yes. But I don't feel like you're going to get a phone call tomorrow. Something right now feels like there's a busyness around this person, where he's just kind of, and it's not necessarily self-absorbed. He's just really super duper busy, and he's focusing on his stuff. And like, you're there in his mind and in his heart, and he can feel that connection. And I would challenge you to also, notice that you can feel the connection, even if there is a distance. And even if you're not talking to him or emailing regularly, there's still a connection there. But I will say, I feel like your energy, Anna, is wanting to make a shift. Like I feel like impatience coming from your energy. And it's okay for you to reach out to that person. If you're feeling you want to make the connection again, you don't need to wait until he comes around to it, right? Leo's in the summer. Leo's in July and August, especially August. When we get there, they're in their prime time. They're in full blown. It's all about me in the world and my job and what I'm doing. And it's really hard to be the partner or the spouse or the boyfriend or girlfriend of somebody who's a Leo when they're in that prime time summer mode, just because they're busy doing their thing. And it's not that they don't care about you, and it's not that they want to move on. It's truly that they're so self-absorbed with what they're doing and their busyness that they're not thinking about or making the time to connect with other people. So it's not a conscious choice of, oh, should I call Anna? No, I'm not going to call her. It's honestly, he's so busy thinking about and doing other things, you're not really on his mind. Now, I know hearing that sucks on some level, because you're like, oh, well, he's on my mind, and when you're in a committed relationship with somebody, even if it's long distance, you want to think that I'm on his mind because he's on my mind. And, sometimes it doesn't work that way, but it's not a reflection of the health of the relationship. It's much more symptomatic of just how busy that person is. And also give yourself that permission that you can reach out, that you can say, hey, I'm just missing you. I just wanted to check in, make sure you're doing okay, that kind of thing. And also let them know that it can be, the communication can be a quickie. It doesn't have to be a long, 3-hour phone call. I actually dated a Leo once, and I was married to a Leo once upon a time. Actually, quite a few of my boyfriends were Leos over the years. I tend to be drawn to fire signs. I'm a Gemini and an air sign, and so I'm drawn to those fire signs because my air helps to create that really intense energy when we're together. But as y'all probably notice, I like to talk. And so when he was away, he was on a 2-month training at one point. He was away, and I wasn't hearing from him very often. And when we did connect and I asked him about it, he said, well, I just didn't, I knew I couldn't call you for a quick 5 minutes, because whenever we connect, it seems like it's at least a half an hour to an hour, if not more. And I just don't have the time right now. I'm really busy with this training, and I have homework and I have other things to do, And so he felt it was better to wait until he had that dedicated time to connect, because he didn't believe that we could just have a quick, 2-5-minute conversation and be done with it. So possibly that could be going on with your guy as well. And so think about that and let him know, hey, you know what? Even if you just give me a quick little text that says, hey, I'm thinking about you, or you call and we're on the phone for, just 5 minutes catching up with each other, just so I can hear your voice and feel your energy. And that would be enough. Sometimes that reassurance will help them to be a little bit more diligent in reaching out and connecting. Okay. All right. Then I saw there was another question. And please, ladies, or anybody, if you put a question in there and I respond, if it doesn't make sense, or if you have a follow-on, feel free to put that in the chat as well, and to put it all in caps so that I see it pops up, and I'll know to swing back around and answer that. Okay, so the next question here is from Nilda. And Nilda is saying, I've been seeing white shadows moving back and forth while I have my eyes closed. What is this message about? Okay. So usually when I'm going to close, I'm kind of trying this on here myself there, Nilda. So normally when we have our eyes closed, when we first close our eyes, we kind of see the reverse image of whatever we last were looking at, right? It's kind of like looking at a negative. So we kind of see a shadow of whatever we saw there. So if you're starting to see and sense movement, that can be a way of spirit trying to get your attention and trying to just kind of help you notice what you're noticing. So what I would do is, if it's moving back and forth, I would actually say out loud, or in my mind's eye. Yes, I'm going to say with my mind's eye. Yeah, that's a little bit of synesthesia there, guys. So I'm going to say in my mind's ear, I see you. You have my attention. What message do you have for me? Or what can I do for you? Or what additional thing do you want to show me? I'm paying attention. It's kind of like if somebody's standing there and waving and going, hello, I'm here. Do you see me? Right. And you don't respond. Right. So if I did that, if I'm standing on the side of the road or outside your house and I'm waving frantically at you, and you're like, oh, I wonder what that means. And you never think to ask me, like, can I help you? Do you need something? Or do you have a message for me? It's good that you noticed that something's trying to get your attention, or someone is trying to get your attention, or a spirit. And the spirit can be a loved one in spirit. It could be a guide. It could be an angel. It could be all kinds of different benevolent interdimensional beings that are trying to say hello to you. So what I would do if I was you is I would just, next time that happens, is I would kind of quiet myself, and then I'd say, okay, you have my attention. What do you want to show me? So if it's visual, maybe you'll start to get other pictures opening up, or what you want to tell me, or is there something that I can do to help you? And ask that being, please impress upon my mind, either show me visually, let me hear it auditorily, let me feel it and know it, whole form, if that's the way that it's best to operate, and give yourself the ability to take it to the next level, wherever that is. So the first step is just acknowledge, hey, I see you. I see you're trying to get my attention. What else do you want me to know? And so kind of go back to that. And one of the things that we can do, if it's after the fact, is we can kind of go back in time and recreate that. So if you were to close your eyes and remember, what did it look like when that white shadow was moving back and forth behind your closed eyes, you can, through remembering it, you can re-access that energy and sometimes in a way invite it back. It's kind of like if you were watching something on TV and you hit the pause button, and when you come back to it later, it's like, okay, now play again. You're able to re-enter into that moment to see what's going on and what's that all about. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, feel free to put another comment in the post there. Okay. And you can ask as many questions as you want. We have another 20 minutes left to the show. So anybody that would like to put a question on the chat, or would like a topic that's kind of been on your mind and heart and you want to know about, put that in caps in there, and I'm happy to. Okay, so Anna is saying here, I meant summer or fall or 2025. Okay. Okay. Yep. So yes. So the answer I'm feeling there is kind of, yes, I feel like towards the end of the summer. So end of summer, early fall. So before this year is up, there'll be a reconnection. And part of that, Anne, sorry, I didn't mean to call you Anna. I think I swished your first and last name together. My apologies. So I think what I'm feeling, Anne, is that you can also initiate some contact. You can kind of reach out and say, hey, I'd love to reconnect with you, or I'd love to, come visit you, or have you come visit me, or, just you can kind of plant the seed for let's try to schedule a date to have a Zoom call, or, so you can see each other face to face, or use Skype, or use FaceTime, or whatever tools you have in common. But yeah, it definitely feels like there's an opportunity for things to come together. And I feel like on his end of it, there's some things that he has to take care of and bring to closure before he's going to be free to reach out to you in the way he wants to. So I feel like there's some kind of commitment or obligation that he has that he's trying to either finish up, work through, or close out, so that he can be free and more available to be connected with you. And let me know if that makes sense to you. Okay. All right. So that's what I was feeling there. Okay. Okay. All right. So the next question I'm seeing here in caps is, sometimes I see faces of people I've never seen before. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that can happen all the time, right? Those can be your guides. Those can be angels. Those can be benevolent interdimensional beings that want to work with you. So these faces, so what you can do is when you see one of those faces, you can stop and you can say, hello, I see you. What is your name, or what shall I call you, or what's your vibration? Do you have a message for me? Is there something I can do to help you? Right? Because when people come to us, and think about it this way, when we show up for each other in this dimension, right? When we interact with somebody, it's usually for a purpose. We don't just walk up to a friend and look at them and go, and say nothing, right? It would be kind of weird, wouldn't it? It'd be a little creepy, actually. You'd be like, okay, why aren't you saying anything? So when somebody would appear in front of you, it would be really natural to say, oh, hi. And if you don't know them, what's your name? Where are you from? How can I help you? Or do you have a message for me? Were you looking for me specifically? Or, are you just kind of exploring? Are you lost? Right? So having that conversation, remember that spirits and interdimensional beings are telepathic. So you don't have to say things out loud. And honestly, if you live with somebody else who's not into this, it's probably a better thing if you don't, right? You don't want to freak somebody out. But if you are alone when you're seeing that, then you can talk out loud. That's fine. They can hear you either way. But most spirits are very telepathic, and interdimensional beings are also telepathic. That's how they communicate most of the time. So it's okay for, to ask those questions. And if their energy is something that scares you for some reason, you have every right to tell them, go away. I don't want to talk to you. Just like if somebody walked up on the street to you, right? And let's just say it was some kind of homeless person and they scared you, you have every right to say, I'm sorry, God bless you. I don't want to talk to you right now. Please go away or I'm going to leave, right? You don't have to engage with any person that makes you uncomfortable in this life. And you certainly don't need to tolerate or engage with any spirit that makes you feel uncomfortable. Most of the time, though, the energies that are coming to you are ones that are coming from a place of love, advancement. They're trying to help us. They're trying to educate us. They're trying to share wisdom or messages. They're benevolent beings. So I just wanted to make that clear, that just on the off chance that one of them might scare you or something. And you can also ask them if their form is scaring you. You can say, can you please change your form to something that is less daunting or less scary to me, or that's more familiar to me? And a lot of times they can change that representation to put you more at ease. So, I would definitely be engaging with them and playing with them and inviting them, because if you're able to see them that clearly, then you can also have a conversation with them and start getting messages with them and see, how they can help you. And you can ask for them for help, because if they're popping up in your energy field and they're interacting with you, you have every right to say, hey, thanks for, coming in here. And hey, what are your thoughts about this question I have? Or what are your thoughts about this project that I'm working on, or this relationship issue that I'm trying to heal, or this health issue that I'm trying to overcome? Do you have any insight or guidance for me? And so you can actually use them as a sounding board, right? And then as they keep coming back, they become familiar friends. And you're like, oh yeah, that's my guide, Tony. Oh, cool. Okay, nice. Nice to see you, Tony. What else do you have to tell me? Okay, so that's that one. All right, what else here? So, okay, thanks, Chris. So Chris is clarifying that monitoring spirits are spirits that are sent to watch with the intent to take information back, to the dark energy to take our light or cause delays. My sense was going off and that I just protected myself. Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, I never heard of that definition of monitoring spirits that way. To me, what you're describing is an emissary for a dark force. And if you're protecting yourself every day and like, you set your intention every day, I call out to those who guide and love me from above for guidance, protection, and connection. I surround myself with only the highest vibration of energy and light. And I ask for protection. I ask for the guidance and the messages as I go through the days. You don't have to worry about anything dark or creepy coming in, to impact your energy or to take information or to spy on you, so to speak, and, report back to somebody who doesn't have a good intention. You can there's lots of techniques that we have that we can use. Like you can put yourself in the middle of a bubble of white light. You can put yourself inside of a crystal where the facets of the crystal reflect back anything that's less than a pure intent. You can create these screen door filters around you that let in all the fresh air and love and positivity, but anything that has anything other than that kind of love and positive energy can't come through. They're bounced off or reflected back. You can put up magnifying mirrors. So if somebody is sending bad intention your way, the first time it just goes back, it's normal. But if they try again, it gets magnified 3 times, 5 times, 10 times until they finally give up and say, oh, this person is too protected and I'm not going to try to mess with them. Right. So, okay. So thanks for clarifying what those are. But yeah, to me, monitoring spirit is like our watchers, our guides, our guardian angels, our loved ones in spirit, our benevolent interdimensional beings. These are ones that are kind of monitoring our progress and that sort of thing. So again, I hadn't heard of them used in that sense. So let me kind of circle back around energetically. No, so I didn't feel necessarily anything dark around you. And that could be because you protected yourself. But I did sense that there are guardian angels and guides and lots of positive, benevolent beings that are around you. So if ever you kind of get that spidey sense or that creepy feeling again, I would just immediately call on those positive forces that are around you for guidance, protection, connection, set up that high vibration of energy and light around you, and you have nothing to worry about. Okay. All righty. Let's see. All right. What else do we have here? Okay. So Nilda, we have some summer love brewing here, huh? Okay. So is my next door neighbor really serious about how he feels for me? Yeah. There's lots of your energy, Nilda, is very charismatic. You're a very positive person. You are very giving and generous and kind and loving, and people are going to be attracted to you. And so even when, just the little waves and the smiles and the thoughtfulness, they pick up on that. And so, yeah, there's definitely somebody, there's definitely people around you that are like, wow, she's so nice. I would love to be her friend. I would love to see what could develop if we let the friendship go a little further. So as soon as I read that, I just felt like, oh, summer loving. It's a romance. It's something fun. It feels like, and it feels like it would be a breath of fresh air for you just to have that, fun, relaxing time, getting to know somebody and enjoying yourself. Okay. So now I have another question here from Chris. Chris is saying, did I just talk with one of my spirit guides last night? Yes. Yeah. And one of the things that you can do to help discern whether it's you kind of talking to yourself or whether it is a spirit guide who's talking to you or somebody who's coming with a message outside of yourself is figure out where you hear messages in your own process. And one of the things, I think we had done it on a previous episode, but it's worth sharing again. So if you were to think of a song of your own creation, of your own choosing, any song you want, and in your head right now, just play a little bit of that tune and sing a little, like just a few lines of it. Sing that in your head. And notice while you're doing that, where are you hearing or perceiving those sounds, those words? Where is it hitting you in your energy field? And then what I'd like you to do is I'm going to ask you now to sing part of Mary Had a Little Lamb or the ABC song. Either one, your choice. Okay, but I'm giving you those two inspirations. Notice as you're singing one of those songs to yourself, you're perceiving that in a different place. So now, you know, when it's me making it up and me talking to myself, it's in this place. And when spirit or something external to me is inspiring and prompting me to hear something else, it's in a different place. So that can help you have a confidence of, oh, okay, it's one of my guides or angels or loved ones in spirit or benevolent interdimensional beings who is communicating with me. I'm not just making this up myself. Okay, and then we have a follow-on from, okay, Nilda. So yeah, okay, so I see your concern here. Nilda's sharing with us that her neighbor is a little bit of a player. So knowing that, you know, you can have a summer of romance and summer of fun without getting yourself overly committed and getting yourself deeply involved with somebody who has that kind of reputation. But also know that even the wildest of players, when they find the right person, they settle down. You know, that's kind of the history. So maybe he just hasn't found the right person yet. And I'm not saying that you are. I'm not saying you're soulmates and this is supposed to be. But there's a nice energy. There's a nice vibe going on between the two of you where you can, you know, just have some fun, you know, go to the movies, go on a picnic, you know, go out for dancing, you know, do something fun, you know, and see how you just enjoy each other's company. You take control of how fast things progress and just go at a rate and a pace that you feel comfortable with, you know, so don't let him, you know, charm his way into something quicker than you feel comfortable about, and make sure he earns your trust. And, you know, it's nice to feel like you're the object of somebody's desire, right? Like, oh, you know, your neighbor's friendly, he's complimentary, he's engaging, it makes you feel good. So, you know, there's no harm to it as long as you keep it light and playful and allow yourself to enjoy. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Okay. Oh, and she says, okay, thanks. You got it. All right. Well, you know, summertime is a great time to let ourselves have a little bit more fun, right? We get in that vacay mode, you know, even the weekends feel, you know, the weather's beautiful and we love to get outside and we love to be in nature and we love to play and do things, you know, that bring us joy, you know, and so be open to those opportunities for love and for joy and for play, as well as the opportunity to shine your light and share your gifts and share your love in whatever ways you like to express them. Share your gifts and fulfill your purpose of your soul, right? You know, people can come together for all kinds of reasons, and they can develop a relationship that really serves them in that moment, and maybe for the season, and maybe for longer than just a season. But we have to be open to enjoying the experiences and the people while we have them. So that's one of the things that's important. And Maria is asking, you have a question that you'd like to ask the pendulum. Okay, what's your question? I will be happy to tune in real quick. I will use, what do I have that I can use as a pendulum? I will use my Tinshaw as a pendulum because I don't have my actual little pendulum here. But one of the things that we know is, we can use anything using the pendulum. So I'm going to first ask to see what a yes is. All right, so I got my yes, and then I'm going to ask for a no. And then the question that Maria is asking is, she's wondering, do you see me getting rid of the Epstein or virus? Okay, so we're going to ask your higher self and your spirit guides, are you going to get rid of it? And the answer is a yes. So be hopeful. You will figure out what you need to do in order to treat that and be healed of it. So that was fun. Okay. And then Chris is giving us some feedback. And she said, funny, that was the exact message I got from my spirit guide last night. I love how spirit always gets the right message to the right people at the right time. Amen. Okay. Very good. All right. And Maria is asking a follow-on question of whether she actually has the virus right now. All right. Well, that was kind of a weird question to ask if you could get rid of it if you didn't think you had it. But let's see. Let's see what it says. So do you actually all right, let me clear it again. So we're going to ask, does Maria actually have the virus now? And that is a yes. Okay. So yes. So you do have it. It may not be full blown and very serious, but you have it. And it, based on what Spirit was saying previously, you will be able to get healed from it and get rid of the symptoms that have been wearing you down and running you down. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, thanks. We're just about coming up on our hour. Isn't it? Wow. Time goes flying by. I love it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to like or subscribe or follow our channel. If you're new to it, please spread the word. I'm here every Thursday night. Would love to have more people tune in and ask questions. Happy to tune in for y'all and talk about whatever's on your mind and heart. This is Althea. I am Althea from Spiritual Street Talk with Althea Jacob. And I am so grateful that you have spent this time with us tonight. Remember your homework, everybody. Shine your light, share your love, practice those acts of kindness, and do the best you can to become the best possible version of yourself. All right. Be unconditionally loving and forgiving. Have a blessed week. Thank you all for tuning in. Love you all, and we'll catch you next Thursday. Take care now. Have a great 4th of July weekend for any of you here in the U.S. celebrating. Be safe. Have fun. And again, God bless. Bye now. I have to get the outro, which is...
To a YouTube channel near you.